Hi guys, today I'd like to do a review about the crank spinner. This is made by Julian Piper over at SpunOut Designs, and I'll put a link to his Facebook group and to his Etsy shop in the comments below. Before we get in depth into the review itself, I'd just like to say a couple of words about Julian Piper himself. I've known him for about a year now, initially through spinning tops before he started making these spinners as well. And I know from past experience that his products are always made to very exacting standards, and also his customer service is second to none. So on that note, let's look at this crank a little bit more closely. So my initial thoughts on the crank itself were firstly just how visually stunning it looks. There are multifaceted sides and cuts and angles and chamfers all over the crank itself that reflect the light just hypnotically whenever you move it. You really have to look at this closely to get an idea of just the sheer amount of angles there are on this. I've actually taken some photos with some macro shots to try and illustrate that a bit more closely, so I'll include those at the beginning of the review as well. But honestly, it's so nice to look at. I understand that Julian uses a 5-axis mill to mill out the shape of this through from solid stock. So I mean, that sort of machinery is not available to many people. You know, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of, just for one machine to do these cuts and to cut out all the different chamfers and angles on this. So, I mean, that alone will make it stand out from most of the spinners out there. The other thing is, it's really silent to spin, and it spins really smoothly. So the smoothness mainly is due to the bearing itself. When you take these grips off, inside you'll find an R188 bearing. It's a 10-ball bearing with a hybrid ceramic that's been shielded as well. He's also incorporated these 3 screws in here, which allow for easy removal of the bearing itself. With a small Allen key. I think that's a really neat design feature that he's incorporated in there, because it means you can take the bearing out easily to swap it or to clean it. Another design feature that I quite like on this crank itself is these little cutouts that he's incorporated on both sides of the crank, and you can use these for tritium vials. So glow-in-the-dark vials, you can get different colours, they're easy to get hold of online, and you can glue them in. So again, that's a nice little design feature that Julian's put in there. Just looking at the size of the crank, it's about a 50mm diameter, so it's about the same size as the tri-stubby, almost exactly the same diameter. But because there's a lot more metal in the crank, so this is stainless steel, they're both stainless steel, but because there's a lot more, as you can see in the stubby, you've got much bigger cutouts. The weight of the crank is a lot more substantial in hand than something like the tri-stubby. So it weighs, I believe it's about 100 grams, so it's about a third more the weight compared to a tri-stubby, which personally I don't think there's an issue with, but some people might find it a little bit heavy in hand. It depends if you like a heavy spinner or a light spinner. I know some people like pure titanium spinners, just because they're so light and easy to fidget with. Personally, I like the heavier spinner. That's why I've got the stainless steel on most of my collection. The other thing is, obviously, the crank is designed to look like a crank, and I think that he's achieved that very well. The only issue, well, not issue, but one thing that I did want to mention that I think could be improved on personally is the these little cutouts here, which give the shape to the crank itself. They could be a little bit deeper to give better finger holds when spinning. I mean, there's still good grip. I mean, it's easy to spin with any finger really, backwards or forwards. But personally, I prefer it if they're slightly bigger, just to make it even easier to spin. Other than that, I can't really think of any other negatives. I think Julian's done a really good job with this. It looks good, it feels good, it spins well, it's a great design, it's machined brilliantly, and the cost is pretty cheap as well. I believe it's on for about $100. I'll need to check that, but for the stainless steel spinner with this sort of design and build quality, I think you're getting a good value for money there. One extra thing I did want to mention also about the weight is that actually it really helps in the stability of the spinner as well. So this is such a smooth spinner to hold and to spin both vertically or horizontally, and when you're moving around the axis there's no axis judder or anything like that, and the weight really I think helps towards the stability when spinning on one finger. So I've just checked on Julian's website. Actually, I'll put a link to that in the comments below as well. The stainless steel edition is $105. He does a brass edition as well, which is $85, and he does a special edition flamed stainless steel, and that's $125. So depending on your preference for material, you can go for either of those. As I say, I've always liked stainless steel. I love the heft of the material, the feel of it, and the lovely reflectiveness of the angles. So in summary, I'd say go out and get one. It's a brilliant design. It's definitely different from everything else out there. Julian's customer service is second to none, as I said before. He'll look after you, and it's just a really great spinner. So that's it for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please give it a big thumbs up. Please also consider subscribing. I'll be doing a few more videos soon. Until then, take care.